So today we'll start a new chapter in your biochemistry syllabus, that is metabolism of proteins. Now I'll give you a basic rundown of what proteins are, what amino acids are, and how metabolism of protein occurs. From Monday onwards, I'll integrate you all with BSc students because they have the same topic going on. I'll just catch you up with speed, what is happening. After that, we can continue in that. Okay. Anyway, in this class, we'll just go over the simple basics of metabolism of proteins. Now, before we go into metabolism of proteins, you need to understand what proteins are and what amino acids are. So amino acids are special molecules that make up a protein. Okay. Now proteins as such are a very big and complex organic molecules. These are big nitrogenous molecules that perform several important functions in your body. We'll discuss about the functions of proteins, but you know that proteins are very important for your body for various reasons. If you look at proteins, think of proteins as, let us suppose, imagine Mhm. imagine I have a big box like this. Okay. Or imagine a house. Okay, even better. Imagine there is a house and compare that house with a protein. Imagine a protein is a house. Imagine protein is a house. Okay. So if I break down proteins a little bit, or if I break down a house a little bit, I will get a few walls, right? Ceiling, walls, etc., etc. Those can be considered as peptides. And if I break them down even further, I will get bricks. Those are amino acids. So यहाँ पर क्या हो रहा, if you build up several amino acids together, small molecules called amino acids together, you end up with peptides. If you combine peptides together, that is when you get a protein. Okay. The same way, if you take one single brick, it will not make much of a difference. If you stack several bricks together, you will get a wall. If you stack several walls together, you will get a house. The same way, you need to combine several amino acids to end up making a protein. Proteins will have several important functions to your body, just like how other carbohydrates and lipids will do. They have their own functions. Now, coming to how an amino acid looks. So I'll show you one image. Hold on. This is the basic structure of any amino acid. Okay. Every amino acid, there are 20 amino acids present in nature, 20 different amino acids, and the difference will come based on this side chain. One second. Based on this side chain, there will be difference in between amino acids. Okay. The amino group and carboxyl group will be the same for all amino acids. All amino acids will have that NH2, and all amino acids will have that COH along with CH. The difference will come with the side chain. So that side chain will be various molecules, which is represented by R. Now for example, if I have amino acid 1, I will have R1, or it might be amino acid 2 which has R2, so on and so forth. There are different groups attached to that side chain, or in the place of that side chain, that will create differences in amino acids. Okay, depending on different amino acids, you'll have 20 different types of groups being attached to that same molecule. What will remain constant always in any amino acid that you see is this group. All amino acids will have that amino group in them, and all amino acids will have this COH group in them. Also, they will have this carbon and hydrogen. Okay, that will always be common. The only difference will come in the side chain. Now coming to classification of amino acids, how you categorize amino acids, there should be some classification, right, to amino acids, how you are differentiating between them. Now you can classify amino acids based on structure, you can classify them based on nutritional requirements, you can classify them based on metabolism, and also based on side chain. Specifically here we'll look at the nutritional classification and metabolic classification of proteins. ठीक है, इसका मतलब क्या है, you are categorizing them, you are dividing them first based on their nutritional requirement, then based on their metabolism. What are the products you get when you metabolize that amino acid. Okay. First, we'll look at the basis of classification of amino acids based on nutritional requirement. So, if we look at the nutritional requirements, there are three different types of amino acids. Okay, based on what you require in your nutrition. Okay, whether or not you require in the nutrition. Remember that there are 20 amino acids in total, and they are being divided into three categories. Okay. First of all, you have essential amino acids. What are essential amino acids? These will specifically refer to those amino acids that your body cannot make. Okay? Your body cannot produce essential amino acids inside itself. So as a result, you will have to consume them from outside. Essentially, you'll have to consume them in your food and in your diet. Okay? They are essential because they are taking part in various properties in your body, various biochemical reactions in your body, and because your body is not able to make them, you need to consume them from the outside, hence the name essential amino acids. They are a must to consume. Then there are non-essential amino acids. Okay. Non-essential amino acids you need not take. Even if you consume it in your diet, it will not make much of a difference because your body has the capability of producing it. These are non-essential amino acids. Okay, I hope you guys are able to understand till here what is a protein, what is a amino acid, what are
Yes,
nutritional.
sir.
समझ में आ रहा ना?
Yes, sir.
Okay, if any one of you is not understanding, please feel free to ask. You can put it in the chat as well. Yeah, right. Now, non-essential as amino acids, as I told you, you do not require them. It will not make a difference even if you eat them, but your body does not need them per se. Your body has the capability of producing them itself. Then there is a special category called conditional amino acids. Now, conditional amino acids are those amino acids that will become essential depending on the patient's condition. Okay, I'll repeat once again. Conditional amino acids will become essential when the person is suffering from a particular condition. For example, let us suppose a patient is ill. There is some chronic illness wherein certain amino acids are required for recovery and regeneration. At that time, certain non-essential amino acids will become conditionally essential, meaning for the period of time that the patient is ill or for the period of time that the patient is suffering from that illness or that disease, that patient needs to take those amino acids from outside. As soon as they have recovered, they don't need to take it. It will become a non-essential amino acid at that point. Okay. Or even if you consider something like pregnancy. So in pregnancy, you have to take certain amino acids in higher quantity. Even if your body is able to produce certain amino acids, hence making them non-essential, यहाँ पर क्या होता, the requirement for those amino acids will increase, so you will have to substitute those amino acids from somewhere, right? Hence in that condition, the condition being pregnancy, you will need to consume those amino acids. So conditionally those amino acids are becoming essential. As soon as that condition is met or as soon as that condition is over, for example someone is pregnant and once their pregnancy is over, those amino acids will become non-essential. Okay? After 9 months of time they'll become non-essential. समझ में आया what are the three different classifications of amino acids based on nutritional requirement? Any doubts in these three categories? Okay, I'll take that as a no then. Chalo. Now coming to, that is one way of classifying it. Okay, then you, another way of classifying amino acids is based on their metabolism. Acha, first of all, what is metabolism? Metabolism को biotransformation भी बोलते हैं. What do you understand by the term metabolism? Acha, metabolism can be defined as a process in which your body is breaking down certain components and making new components. For example, another way of classifying or defining metabolism is it is a process that involves both catabolism and anabolism. So इसका example क्या है? Catabolism is essentially breaking down, right? So let us suppose you have eaten lunch today. Okay. Example, you ate chapati and some curry. Okay. Now the food that you eat needs to be converted into energy. Okay, for your body to survive, for your cells to survive, and for you to live, you need to have food regularly. Okay, generally people have 2 to 3 times per day. They'll have food. Okay, maybe more, maybe less, depending on their own preference. But essentially, what you are doing is you are fueling your body by giving some food into it, or putting some food into it. The first process that happens is catabolism. So let's suppose you eat some chapati and some curry, whatever curry you eat. Okay, the components of those chapati and that curry that you eat, let us suppose you have eaten a drumstick, example. Okay, some drumstick curry you have eaten. The components of that drumstick and the components of the chapati that you have eaten will first need to be broken down, meaning their individual components, the lipids present inside them, the carbohydrates present inside them, and the proteins present inside them will be broken down into simplest components. Then those components will be absorbed inside your body. Okay, so this breakdown of components is essentially digestion. Okay, where catabolism is occurring, once you eat your chapati, it will not come out of your body as is, right? Feces will come out, but यहाँ पर क्या हो रहा, those components which are essential for your body, those are broken down and those will be absorbed by your intestines, mainly by your intestines, some by your stomach as well, but most of the absorption takes place in your intestine. That part is catabolism. Anabolism will be making up energy. So energy, making up energy, it refers to making ATP or making the energy currency of your body. Okay, now that you have converted these food, let's suppose someone ate chapati, that chapati is being converted into carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Those individual components will go towards your cells, and inside your cells these will be converted into ATP by various metabolic processes like glycolysis, HMG coenzyme pathway, so on and so forth. There are various mechanisms. Okay, your body uses ATP as the currency of energy. Okay, for example, if you go to a shop and let's suppose you are trying to buy some tissues, example, okay, or you're trying to buy something XYZ, whatever you're trying to buy, the currency will be rupees, right? As you are Indian, the currency will be rupees. If you give certain amount of rupees, let's suppose you give 20 rupees, that fellow will give you a box of tissues. If you go and give them half a kilo of achar, they will not give you tissues in return. We do not use the barter system anymore. So the specific currency that is being used or the specific way through which energy is circulated in your body is ATP. Okay. यहाँ पर in anabolism, what you are doing is your body is essentially the cells of your body is converting these components into ATP, hence making up energy. Okay, that is the whole process of metabolism. You're breaking certain things down and you're making some things up. Now another way to put this is in the form of biotransformation. So how does that relate to biotransformation? Biotransformation can be broken down into two words. You're transforming something biologically, or you're converting biological components. Okay, so you can think of it this way. I started off with chapati and curry, and they underwent multiple reactions and they got converted into ATP in the end. Okay, so I'm transforming one form into another form. Okay, hence the name biotransformation. I'm converting one biological form into another biological form. That is also another reason why metabolism is also termed biotransformation. Did you understand this? What is metabolism and what is biotransformation?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I hope all of you understood this. This is a very basic concept that you have to remember in biochemistry. Okay, whenever metabolism, the term metabolism comes, it means that you are converting one form into another form, or something is being broken down and something is being made up. Okay, from one form to the other. Now, classifying amino acids based on metabolism means that certain amino acids, so let's suppose we are classifying them, that there are three categories or three ways through which you can categorize or classify amino acids based on metabolism. One is ketogenic, second is glucogenic, and the third one is keto plus glucogenic. Now, what does this mean? First of all, ketogenic amino acids or any classification of amino acid based on metabolism means that if you break an amino acid down, what kind of product are you getting? Okay. Or if I break XYZ product down, what kind of product can I make from that? Okay. For example, let us suppose I take one. Let us suppose I take a book and a very old book. Okay. And you know what are present inside book? You'll have a cover and the cardboard cover, and you will have papers inside it. Okay. Now, if I want to recycle it, I will give it to the recycling organizations, and they will convert that paper into something else. They might convert it into whatever form. But यहाँ पर क्या हो रहा? I am essentially converting one form of material into another form. Here, amino acid, when it is being broken down, they will either give ketones, or they will give glucose, or they will give ketone and glucose, meaning they will participate in the reactions that are responsible for formation of ketones and glucose. They might not directly form ketones and glucose, but they will participate in the reactions which will end up making ketones or glucose. Okay. So now, as the name suggests, ketogenic amino acids will be involved in reactions where ketones are being formed, meaning that amino acid, when it is broken down and when it undergoes metabolism, it will end up making ketones. There is only one amino acid which is purely ketogenic, which is leucine. Okay. Leucine is a ketogenic amino acid, meaning from leucine you can only get ketones, nothing else. Then you have glucogenic amino acids. These amino acids, when they are being broken down and when they are being digested, they will end up in the formation of glucose. They will end up taking part in various reactions in your body, and that reaction will end up in the formation of glucose. For example, you have glycine, alanine, methionine, aspargine, threonine, cysteine, aspartic acid. ये पूरे glucogenic amino acids है. All of these, when they are broken down and when they are digested, they will participate in a reaction that will end up making glucose. Then there is a special category, ketogenic and glucogenic. इसमें क्या होता? Let us suppose we have an amino acid structure like this. So there is NH2, CH, R1 and COH. ठीक है. Ketogenic and glucogenic का मतलब यह रहता, some part of that amino acid is entering in the glucogenic pathway, meaning it is entering into the pathway making glucose, and the other part is going into ketogenic pathway. It is ending up making ketones. So for example, let us suppose this some standard amino acid that I take. When this amino acid is broken down, this part of the amino acid, the R part of the amino acid, is going into ketogenic pathway. It is ending up in ketones, and this part, the top part of that amino acid, is going into glucose formation. So यहाँ पर I'll classify that amino acid as ketogenic and glucogenic, because some part of that amino acid is going into glucose synthesis, some part of that amino acid is going into ketone synthesis. Hence, I'm achieving both of them. I'm getting even ketones, I'm getting glucose as well. It is just that they are participating in both the reactions in different ways. Hence the name ketogenic and glucogenic. इसमें आते tryptophan, tyrosine, phenylalanine, isoleucine and lysine. ठीक है, those five are ketogenic and glucogenic amino acids. Okay. Now, did you understand what is the classification of amino acids based on metabolism?
Yes, sir.
पक्का? पूरों को समझ में आया? See, at some point or the other, I'll conduct a test. So I am expecting you to be able to reproduce all of these on a paper. So if you have doubts, please feel free to ask right now. It doesn't matter how silly it is, whatever doubt it is, please feel free to ask. Okay. Now, coming to actual proteins. So as I told you, proteins are made up from amino acids. Amino acids will be involved in a very special bond called peptide bond. Once that peptide bond is made, that is when you end up getting a peptide, and several chains of these peptides will end up making a protein. So what is a peptide bond? Now if I draw two amino acids, let's suppose I draw NH2, CH, R1, COH, double bond O plus. I'm just drawing that amino acid structure in a different way. Okay, it is the same COH. I'm just expanding that COH. Let us suppose this is amino acid 1. I'm writing it as AA1. Okay, R1 है ना, तो AA1. And let us suppose I have another one here, amino acid NH, NH, CH, COOH, and R2. Let us suppose this is amino acid 2. Okay, because it has second one and it is 2. All right. Peptide bonds are made in between two amino acids when they lose one water molecule. So what is happening here is the hydrogen of this nitrogen of this amino acid and this OH molecule of this amino acid, they will combine together and there will be a loss of water molecule. I'll repeat once again. Two amino acids are coming close to each other. The OH molecule from the COH of the first amino acid and the hydrogen molecule of the second of hydrogen molecule from the NH amino group of the second molecule, second amino acid molecule, are combining together and they are making a water molecule. As a result, what will happen is, let us suppose I make these two disappear. Water molecule is lost. Now यहाँ पर दो electron के spaces बच गए. There is a special bond made here. This carbon will bond with this fellow. That bond that is being formed between two amino acids when water is being lost is called a peptide bond. This is a peptide bond. This is also called a CONH bond. Okay? Because think of it this way, there is NH here and there is CO here, hence CONH bond. Okay? If I want to break that bond, I can simply add water molecules. I can hydrolyze the molecule. I use a I use a hydrolysis reaction. I use a hydrolase enzyme and I will add water to it. As a result, this enzyme will break. OH will go to this fellow, H will go to this fellow, and those two amino acids will separate from each other. If I want to make a peptide, I will dehydrate the molecule. If I want to make the amino acids, I will hydrate the molecule. That's simple. ये समझ में आया concept? See, it is very easy for me to get it back as well like this, in case you still have doubts.
Sir, on to the next.
Once again, acha, theek hai. So let me start over. One second. We have two amino acids, ma. theek hai. Each amino acid has its amino end and carboxyl end. So one second, let me show that to you again. Where did that go? One second. Hold on. Right. I told you this is the basic structure of an amino acid, right? The only difference between amino acids comes from a side chain, that is R. Okay? There will be different R's in different amino acids. What will always remain constant is that amino group and the carboxyl group. Whenever a peptide bond is formed, there is a loss of OH molecule of this amino acid. One second. So, क्या हो रहा? Or one second, I used the wrong tool. I need to draw on it, right? Not edit it. Right. So यहाँ पर क्या हो रहा? This molecule essentially is losing its OH molecule, and this fellow, this amino group of the second amino acid. Here, imagine that there are two amino acids which are standing beside each other. One fellow is losing its OH molecule, the other fellow is losing its hydrogen molecule. Okay. If you add a hydrogen and a OH molecule, you will end up getting a H2O, which is water molecule. Okay. The bond that is formed, now दो electrons बच गए. If you are removing one hydrogen from here and one OH from here, from the second amino acid, that is why I told. Imagine there are two amino acids like this. There is amino acid 1 that has the OH group here, and amino acid 2 that has the hydrogen of NH here. Okay. So imagine they have the whole hydrogen NH molecule. NH and NH. Okay. The amino acids ऐसा है. They have their own R groups. First of all, what will happen is to make a peptide bond, these two fellows will combine with each other. Okay. And you end up getting a water molecule. These two fellows will combine with each other and H2O molecule is released out. Now, what is happening is if you remove a H2O molecule, there are some bonds left empty. So see, as a result, what is happening is this bond is left empty. Yahan par this bond is left empty and this bond is left empty. That bond represents a unbound electron. Okay, that electron is just staying there without any bonding. So hota kya? Because this water molecule has lost, these two amino acids will attach to each other like this. There is a bond formed in between them like this. Okay, that bond that is being formed when a water molecule is being lost is called a peptide bond. If I want to break that bond, I can simply add a water molecule because the bond is made when you are removing a H2O molecule. If I want to break that bond, I can simply add a H2O molecule and as a result, the bond can be broken. समझ में अभी? Were you able to understand? Okay. Anyone else, any doubts? How peptide bond is formed, what it is and how you can make or break it? All right. Now, coming to different types of proteins, there's a lot of biological significance to proteins. Okay, proteins play a important role in several structures in your body. So we'll list out a few of them. First of all, as structural proteins. Structural proteins का मतलब क्या है? The collagen that is present in your bone and cartilage, keratin that can be found in your hair and nails, that plays a very important role in their structure. Without collagen is a protein that you can find in bones. You can find them in bones, you can also find it in cartilage. Without collagen, bones and cartilage will not be strong enough. Okay? They will break down and they will crumble very easily. So they are acting as structural proteins. Proteins can also act as transporters. One of the most basic and one of the most important example of a transporter protein is hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is present in RBC. You all already know this. There should be a certain amount of hemoglobin in everyone's blood so that their body is functioning normally and they have normal oxygen carrying capacity. These transporter proteins will transport one molecule from one location to the other. So specifically, if we talk about hemoglobin, it is transporting oxygen from lungs or from your acinus, essentially from your acini in your lungs to the cells of your body, different cells of your body. Okay, and vice versa. It will also transport carbon dioxide from those cells to your lungs so that it can be exhaled out. Okay. Some proteins can also act as antibodies. So antibodies are a part of your immune system. Whenever there is a microorganism or whenever there is a foreign body that is entering in your body, let us suppose there is a virus that enters into your body will respond by producing antibodies. Antibodies are special proteins that are made by your body to specifically counter and to specifically kill that virus or that bacteria that has entered. Okay. And hormones as well. Proteins can be found in the form of hormones. So for example, insulin. Insulin is a hormone that is very important to your body for glucose regulation. Your body or the glucose inside your body will not be able to enter into the cell without the help of insulin. If insulin receptors are not working properly, or if insulin is not being produced normally, that is when patients will have diabetes. Okay, so that hormone is also a protein. Okay, proteins will also make, all hormones are essentially proteins, enzymes and hormones are essentially proteins. Okay, that is the biological significance of proteins. Now, coming to the structure of proteins, if you look at proteins in general, if you look at the structure of proteins, there are four structures of proteins, four organization levels of proteins. You have primary, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary. Okay, I'll show you what is the difference between them. किधर गया? 1 second. See, so if you look at protein structures, that the first structure that you can see, the primary structure that you can see on top, that is an amino acid. Okay, these amino acids are combining with each other to form a peptide bond. That small blue color line that you can see in between those amino acids, so वो gems जैसा दिख रहे जो green, red, blue and all of them, those are amino acids. They are bound together by a peptide bond and they make a peptide. That is the primary structure of a protein. Now what happens is those primary structures will start winding around itself. So they might wind in the form of a helix, or they might coil around each other. Okay, अलग-अलग shape में they'll form, differentiating in itself. They'll start making different shapes. That will essentially make a secondary structure. Okay, your DNA is essentially a secondary structure. Okay, that is an example of a secondary structure. Then tertiary structure जो है, when this secondary structure assumes a three-dimensional shape, okay, whenever that helix assumes a three-dimensional shape, it will start twisting in such a way that it will assume a three-dimensional shape. From a two-dimensional structure, it will become a three-dimensional structure. That is when you get a tertiary structure. That tertiary structure is this, जो आपको left में दिख रहा, that is a 3D structure. Now, when several such 3D structures come together, it will form a quaternary structure. Normally, proteins are quaternary structures. The proteins that you see in your body are quaternary structures. Hemoglobin, ceruloplasmin, insulin, so on and so forth. जो भी hormones दिखते हैं आपकी body में, जो proteins दिखते हैं आपकी body में, collagen है, all of them are quaternary structure. But all of these proteins are formed by simple amino acids. Amino acids are combining with each other. They are twisting around each other. They are making a 3D structure. And from that 3D structure, several such 3D structures are coming together. They are aggregating together and they are making quaternary structures. Polypeptide essentially means that there are several peptide chains that are linking together. एक amino acid जब दूसरे amino acid से combine होता, you are getting a peptide, right? Now, if several such peptide molecules or several such chains of peptides combine with each other, you end up getting a polypeptide chain. ठीक है? So that is the structure of an amino acid. ये समझ में आया? How protein structure occurs and what is the structure of a protein? See, I'm not going to the detail of structure. You can go into a lot of detail. What is primary, what is secondary, but you don't need it at your level. That is why. Okay, just basic understanding भी रहा. What is primary, what is secondary, what is tertiary and quaternary, वो तो बस है. Okay. So in the next class, we'll start combining your classes with BSc, and I'll tell you the function of proteins and what are different amino acids and what are their individual functions inside your body. ठीक है?